Hello baseball fans and welcome into another episode of the British Baseball Podcast. We're now into double-digit episodes. It's a minor milestone to celebrate, but we're going to celebrate it anyway because, let's be frank, there hasn't really been a whole lot to cheer about recently. Sport's been put on hold. There's no NBA, there's no NHL, footy over in the UK, gigs all being postponed. Spring training looks like it's now over. The MLB has been delayed. What does that mean over this side of the pond? The meetup's being delayed. Your training, if you're playing for a team's been delayed, and who knows what else would be a delay to our season. A lot of it is up in the air and we don't really know. One thing that we do know is that there's a lot of content still out there for you to digest and enjoy. A lot of podcasts out there still producing solid episodes regardless of what's going on. And I hope that you'll find my guest today, Vince Garcia, who is part of the Major League Envoy program, will entertain you for the next 30 minutes or so. And without further delay, let's get on with the episode. So joining me today on the British Baseball Podcast, I'm extremely thankful for Kevin McAdam for putting me in touch with this legend of the game. I know we were just having a joke off air about what legends are. But Mr. Vince Garcia, who's the coach resident for the MLB program, and that was from 1991 to 2004. Vince, welcome to the show. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Today, we're just going to have a general chit-chat about your involvement in the British game. I've been told by the people involved in it at various levels that you're quite an influential character. So the floor is all yours. Let's talk baseball.
Fantastic.
So I'd like to go back to how you got involved within the British game.
Yeah, I had a couple of interesting mentors. When I call them interesting, they're some of the greatest ambassadors that the sport has ever known. One is John Scalinas, and if you get a chance to Google that name, you're going to find a lot of material. This is a man with deep integrity, amazing integrity, and an influence across collegiate baseball, high school baseball. And then his best friend was Bill Arcee. And Bill Arcee, I can't tell you enough about this man. He was in Battle of the Bulge. He traveled the globe spreading the baseball gospel. Bill recently, 4 years ago, passed away, and I was able to touch base with him just before that occurred, and I'm just so fortunate to have met that man. And you could go on and on throughout Europe talking about Bill Arcee's influence in Italy, in Holland, and then certainly in Great Britain too. A man that was that's a true legend. When you call me a legend, I'm not even a pseudo legend. He's the real deal.
We said in your title introduction that you're part of the MLB Envoy program. What was the MLB Envoy program, and how did you get involved in that?
Sure. Well, the Envoy program sent 32 coaches around the globe, predominantly working anywhere between 1 to 3 months at a time at a location. And those coaches were to have influence in youth development, coaching development, club team development, and then national team programs. So I was originally a college baseball coach, and at that college, I coached for the nephew of John Scalinas, absolute legend, and best friend Bill Arcee gave me a phone call, had an hour interview with Major League Baseball, and the next thing you know, I was turning down an opportunity to go to Australia. I don't know why I did that. I think I had a girlfriend or something like that. One of those ridiculous influences. 6 months later, they offered me an opportunity to go to Bracknell, which is the vacation home for the rich and famous in Berkshire. That's a joke. And then also that last month, the third month, I was supposed to spend up in Manchester. Quite funny. And they turned it down, and Bracknell kept me like an orphan. And the rest is history. We did some really cool things with the club program there. And that evolved 3 years later into the first coaching residence program around the world. So I was lucky enough to have landed that position.
Awesome. What were the positive outcomes from the Envoy? Like what did you see develop from it?
Yeah, it was really amazing. It was through the youth program there in Bracknell that evolved into their schools program. I've got to mention Paul Vernon, Dave Phillips, who are incredibly influential, and Paul Vernon, to this day, you talk about legends. That man is a legend. Recently saw him last summer in New York, and it was great to see him and his wife, Michelle, They're like family to me. So we created a program within the schools, and it was my idea to bring them together and play a year-end tournament. And we had kind of a challenging format that created a little bit of excitement. And on the day, we had 300 people there, either players or fans. And I wrote a report up on that, and some of those ideas turned into both the academy and then also the play ball program that went into the schools. A couple of them were in Manchester as well.
Awesome. I've been told that you had like some involvement in the National Baseball League and the academy as well. What was your vision for NBL and the academy?
Well, the academy was started up by Paul Vernon and Dave Phillips, and they came to me with it, and I thought it was great, so we ran with it. And what we would do is we would do a Saturday or Sunday camp or a combined weekend, and players would come from Inverness to Plymouth. They'd come from all over, and they'd drive up to 6-7 hours to get there. We'd have a residential camp for ages 10 all the way through national team programs at REF Upper Hayford in North Oxfordshire. And we had 4 baseball fields there. At any given time, there were a couple hundred people there for a weekend. So I'm out of the loop a little bit about how that's evolved, but I know they've got a great field that was opened up 3 or 4 years ago, and I'm really happy that they have that kind of facility. But that kind of excitement was, I felt like that was pretty influential. If you look up and down between the players that are playing now and the people that have coached them, a lot of them were born from that academy. As far as the National League, it was quite interesting. We changed the format. The format's changed a couple times, just out of need to create a little bit of excitement. And it went from I believe a 3-game series to a Final Four setting for each division. And the idea was to bring more people, get more people involved as spectators, and create a little bit of excitement. The more teams there, the more opportunities there are for an upset, and it gave hope to a lot of teams that if they weren't the top 2 teams in the country, they still stood a chance. And there were a couple upsets during that time. It was pretty cool. We also made sure that we brought over national team players as early as we could to get them involved. We created a 4-week midweek league called the Player Tournament Series that led into the European Championships, or Olympic qualifying tournament. And that was kind of a way of drawing in players that were overseas passport holders, get them involved, giving back to the community, giving back to the club programs, and not just showing up to play baseball.
You mentioned some of the players then. Have you got any players of note that you still keep in contact? Have any of those players sort of developed and gone on to bigger, better things that you've seen?
Yeah, well, you mentioned 2 of them already, Will Lintern and Liam Carroll. I've known them since they were both roughly 10 years old. So they were baseball rats back then, and nothing's changed for them. So they still have the ridiculous enthusiasm and passion for this game. And those are 2 coaches that I'm sure people have zero issues at all, any challenges at all following. Love both those guys. Love both.
Yeah, but from the interactions I've had with them, they come across really well. Now, I've spoken to Will on here a few times, and genuinely nice guys within the sport. Speaking of Will and Tim, he told me to say everything's your fault. He said to do
that. As a position, as a person in a position of leadership, I accept that it's my fault. Will, you just kind of go on with what you're doing and continue doing a great job. And if you need to issue any blame at all and creating any direction pushes away from you, I've got broad shoulders. I can handle that.
There you go.
I got to mention his wife. I know it's a family program, and his wife probably won't enjoy this, but when he was roughly 12 or 13, I got him a hug from the Hooters girl, and there's no pictures, no real evidence, but I made that happen.
Good on you. It's what everybody wants for Christmas. Yeah, well, he's got roughly about a week, 2 weeks to get in touch with me to get this edited out, and if not, he didn't pay. There you
go.
So, what are your plans at the moment? What have you been up to recently?
I run a baseball academy here in Northern Nevada. It's the largest in the state, so there's over 200 kids in the academy, ages from 7 all the way through 18. We also run a collegiate summer league team here that travels through and around Northern California, and Oregon, and they play a 50-game schedule. It's busy. Place is packed. We have nationally ranked kids for exit velocities and distances. We're a very modern program. We have a Rapsodo for our pitchers to register and measure spin rate, velocity. We have a HitTrax machine that measures exit velocity and distance. So what gets measured gets done. This is a fun place. It's kind of my own little utopia where I get to do things my way, and it's nice not to listen to somebody yelling at me over a desk or as an athletic director. So it's good.
What do you think we can do over in this country to try and create more of a baseball culture to try and draft in? Because like you're in charge of this facility that's loads of kids. How do you think we can try and grow the game? Baseball naturally is larger in the States. What do you think we can try and just get more kids involved over here?
It's funny that you asked that question because that was my job when I was there. And now,
I didn't know that before I asked that question. I didn't actually know that, so that's actually worked out quite well for me.
I kind of defer that question to a degree to both Will and Liam and everybody else that's involved. I know they're all doing a fantastic job. They always have to work so hard. And I mean, I hate calling it a minority sport because of the kind of passion that people have to have for it. But what I really love about the game in Great Britain is there's a place for everybody, whether you're a top tier player, whether you're a youth player, whether you just want to go out and, you're doing it for the crack of it.
Yeah.
There's a place for everybody. You could be a scorekeeper. You could be, you could watch the games. You can get involved with admin. There's a place for everybody, and that needs to continue. So my best advice is to listen to the experts that are there. They have your ear, they have your eyes, and they will continue to do a great. There's no tricks about this, right? Everything you do is an opportunity to impress somebody with the game of baseball. So from Manchester's lowest club team to the National League's best team, everybody that's out there is representing baseball in this country or in Great Britain. And all in all, I think everybody shares a little bit of responsibility for growing this game and how it's presented to people.
Yeah, everyone that I've spoken to is involved, like I said, in regards to what level. Everyone's passionate. Nobody's sort of in it to make up numbers like for the team. And I know I'm not going to make the top team, but it doesn't mean I'm just there to make up numbers. I want to try and earn my place on that team and compete and do well because
go out and create memories and help others to create some memories. This is why we're involved with this game. We love it. So embrace that and create opportunities for other people to have memories like that too. Hitting a home run, making a diving catch, all of that counts, and you don't forget those things. Well, firstly, you're in a great position because although you may lack the experience of somebody that's much younger, your enthusiasm for the game gives you an opportunity. You might be in year one as far as baseball school is concerned, but that enthusiasm will take you a long ways. Learn as much as you can. Talk to as many people as you can. And you're there to enjoy yourself. If you're 40 years old, you're not in there to read a long-winded novel about baseball. Go experience it, right? Mm-hmm. You have games up and down the country. You have playoff games after your season is over with. I encourage you to go see more of it. Come across the pond. Go to Italy. Go to Holland. See some professional baseball in Sweden. There's a place for everybody in baseball.
So how much baseball outside of the States and Britain have you experienced? You said then, like going experience, I've named a few countries. Have you been fortunate enough to travel to all those different areas and watch some baseball?
Oh, yeah. I have my favorites, too. Growing up, Holland and Germany were nothing like I ever expected. I love both of those countries. One of my most sobering moments, and I'll mention Paul Vernon because he was with me, was we went to Holland and I was looking to possibly try out for professional baseball there. And we went to Amsterdam. We saw Charlie Urbanus of the Amsterdam Pirates at the time. We went to the same day we went to the War Resistance Museum, which was incredible for somebody that enjoys history like myself. And then after that, we went to the Anne Frank Museum, and that was the most sobering. Those were some of the most sobering moments of my life. I think every human being should have to go to that museum, and then that way we can detect who the psychopaths and sociopaths are after that visit. But Paul and I walked around after that for 2 hours and didn't say a word. And then he opened his mouth first and said, "Well, that was sobering." So Italy was magnificent. Italy was everything I ever expected it to be. The baseball was incredible. The fields were amazing. So many stories, so much fun. Austria too. Ireland was fantastic. Going to their Field of Dreams that was partially funded by Peter O'Malley, the previous owner of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Yeah, I've met people all over Europe, and the funny stories, 95% of them are eliminated because this is a family show. But I was kicked out of a game in Germany, and I refused, and then I kicked the umpire out because I said that he wasn't doing his job, that I was doing mine. Yeah, I had a couple of German fans buy me a couple beers after that show. Just amazing stories.
I like to sort of give the last word to the guest. So, last word, Vince, if there's anything you'd like to share with the listeners before we head off.
Sure. Well, two things. I'll make it really quick. The first is I love my time in Great Britain. I traveled to and from, and I don't know anybody there that knows the geography like I do. I traveled a lot, and I appreciated every single place that I was. I learned how to celebrate the differences. You get a lot of people that come from all over the world into Great Britain, and they don't understand. They want to bring their country into Great Britain so badly that they don't understand that the differences are the beauty of it. And I appreciate all of you, Paul Vernon, Will, Liam, Josh Chetwynd, everybody, Margaret Borley, everybody. Just such an amazing experience, the time of my life. And last, I'd like to leave you maybe with a laugh. So what memories have you created already? What's the funniest thing that you've seen in regards to British baseball so far?
The funniest thing.
I say so far because you're going to have a lot more.
I don't. The funniest thing is it's not really funny. It's just great fun. I mean, I really like turning up for training and being part of that team environment, getting to meet new people from all different backgrounds, all different experiences and abilities. Like I said before, it's so inclusive. I don't think there's many sports that are as inclusive as baseball. I'm going to be talking to John from the Manchester Baseball Club about blind baseball soon, which I know nothing about, and I can't wait to find out more about it because it just sounds really intriguing and really interesting. Funny things, I nearly accidentally took someone's head off with a baseball doing a drill on Sunday in Manchester. I literally scooped the ball up in my glove, and I just went to throw it, like just not even with any sort of force or speed, and he just sort of walked to my left. I was aiming to the right, and it slipped, and I don't know how it did, but the ball went at some speed right at his face, and he literally matrixed out of the way. For anyone that knows me and has seen me play video games, I can't do headshots to save my life. I'm all about the knees, and I was literally like this far away, taken out. Again, it's not funny, but looking back at it now, I'm sort of like, whew. But more fun again, just game days. I love game days. I was talking to Andy Brown, who's an artist who paints baseball stadiums within the innings of a game. If you've not seen any of his work, it's really good. And I was saying, like, I love the beauty of the stadiums. Like, you can look at the MLB stadiums, and you can, like, when I was trying to decide which MLB team to look for, I was like, I want to support a team with a great stadium. So looking at PNC Park, like for the Pirates, and you see the views and everything, and you get them feels and the vibes and stuff. But I get that from like the British parts. I know it's going to make me sound really weird, but you can see the passion and love that's been put into it.
Oh, yeah.
Even if it's just paint on the grass, amount of dirt, it's been created by people that love the sport, that want to play the game. Again, it don't matter if it's orange snow fences around that side of the pitch or if it's a wall. Those are the fun things that I take from it. There's something to take from everything. Yeah, I just love the game.
Just on that note, Westmoreland Park in Bracknell is a field that was basically just carved out of weeds that were shoulder height by Bracknell Baseball and Softball Club. And if you look at pictures, I can vividly remember, 20 years ago, how that field was carved out and what it took, the equipment that it took to carve it out, and putting up poles for the backstop, wearing my finest Italian shoes after a meeting in a business suit, and how people were so willing to pitch in. And I don't know if you've experienced this yet after your practices or after matches, just going to the pub and just being around everybody. This is soak that in. That I want, as much as I want that to last forever, it didn't last forever for me. Everybody has a sell by date, whether it's as a player or a coach or just being involved in that kind of capacity. Enjoy yourselves. Baseball is fun.
That's a great way to end the show. I think baseball is fun, and it is. So I urge anyone that's listening, as a fan, as a friend of someone that plays, give it a try. If you look online, baseballsoftballuk.com/finder, you can find yourself a local team there. Go on the social medias, look for your club, see how you can get involved. We've talked before about volunteering, secretaries, umpires, scorekeepers, anything you can do to help out your team, because once you're in there, it becomes a part of you, and I think you'll enjoy every moment of being involved at whatever level you go into. So, Vince, lovely to have you on. Thank you very much again for your time. Really appreciate it. I know that the time difference you're over in the States it's taken us a while to get this sorted, but again, thank you so much for agreeing to do this and coming on. And if you ever want to pop back on, just give us a shout.
Pleasure. I'd love to do that. Thank you, Matt. Thanks, everybody.
And there you go. I hope you really enjoyed that. Vince was a superb fella to have on. Really enjoyed talking to him. There's a lot of people interested in hearing the stories from social medias that I saw on Facebook and Twitter. So I hope that didn't disappoint. I really enjoyed talking to him. And even after we finished recording, we must have been speaking for another 15, 20 minutes after we'd wrapped up, and some of the stories that he told were just so funny, and also not a lot of them very broadcastable, which is a shame, because maybe one day we'll do an over 18 show and we could get a few more out of him if he'd like to come back on. But we're talking about the pitch it and run after it had gone, and that's where the titles come from, because I had to try and get that in there. I told him I was gonna call it that, but there you go. Next week, got Andy Brown on, the baseball artist. Another great chap and a lovely fella. Really enjoyed talking to him too. And as we wrap up today, don't forget, if you haven't already, follow us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook at Brit Baseball Pod, and also on the YouTube channel British Baseball Podcast, where more content's being uploaded there each week. And hopefully we'll get some more answers to sports as we go on. I know a lot of people are upset that entertainment has been delayed, as I said at the start of the show. I don't think I realised how much sport really means, or entertainment as a wider picture. A lot of people are missing out. It's integral to a lot of people's working lives. Not that they work in sports, but the chat, the banter, the communication with other members of staff. For a lot of people, it's what they have in common. It's their shared interest, and what makes a lot of teams click within a place that we work in. I know we've got quite a mixed bag of people where I work in my day job, and being deprived of sport, it's like you might as well take oxygen out of the room. There are quite a lot of fanatical sport fans where I am, and yeah, like even closer to home, like missing out on the World Baseball Classic qualifiers over in Arizona, not seeing those, a chance to see Great Britain play for the first time properly. I do feel like we're all being robbed of something, and yet we don't really know what's going on. But it doesn't really mean we can't take it seriously. It's better to be safe than to be sorry in every sense of the way. So try not to be disheartened if your meetups have been postponed or your training has been cancelled. It is all for the greater good, hopefully, even though we don't know a lot of what's going down. So that's my rant. Say it's a rant. That's my rambling over. That's it. Just be safe. Look out for each other, and keep well. And I'll chat to you all soon. Ta-ra.